Okay, so that is it. That is me all done, so I suppose I better go. It's been really good to see I can use car camping for this purpose, so I will definitely be doing this again in the future. But I hope you've enjoyed the midweek car camp special, and until next time, take care. Well, that's breakfast done, so I'm just drinking my coffee, and I suppose I best get dressed and get going because I don't want to be late. And thanks to the extra provisions I took last night, I was fantastically warm when I slept. Although I was rather pleased that my concerns of the temperature in the car last night were also unfounded. Well, it must be said, I am really impressed with how well last night's meal went. And actually, in total, including the kettle that I've just used as well, I only used 35% of the jackery. So that is rather awesome. And I will definitely be using it again for future car camp meals. Well, it turns out that all of my fears were totally unfounded, but I do need to get on because it is 7:55 and I need to have coffee and breakfast because I do need to get out of here slightly earlier than usual because of what we're doing today. Well, it's now 11 o'clock and I think it's time for me to hit the sack. I really do hope I have a good sleep tonight because it is safe to say that the only reason why I've put off doing this type of car camp before is because of the fear of not having a good night's sleep, because I really can't be tired tomorrow. I'm definitely not going to be cold. I think with the duvet and the sleeping bag I am fantastically toasty, and to be honest it's not actually as cold as I thought it was going to be. So I will see you all again in the morning. Night. A little thing I've done slightly differently tonight to make myself even more stealthy is to put the blackout curtain behind the front chairs. Normally I have them in front of the chairs, but what I found when I was in Faversham, I think it was, is that where I tend to park underneath lights, the light lit up the brown of the curtain. Now unfortunately they didn't have black when I bought my curtain, so I just went for that. But the theory is, even if there's light outside, there's only going to be that top bit on show, and that's a bit you're not really going to see. So potentially this makes it even more stealthy than what it was before. Well, although I didn't actually need the duvet tonight, having it here does make the bed feel so much more homely and comfortable, and unsurprisingly really warm. I mean, I must admit, it has never occurred to me to use a duvet in the car before. I always use the sleeping bag, but this is quite nice for one-off, and certainly I will probably bring it when it's cold. Now I don't want to tempt fate completely, but it must be said this is a really quiet car park. It's 9:30 now and I'm not really hearing any noise at all. Maybe the occasional person walking past, but that's about it. Now I don't want to do the whole usual get out of the car and film and show you what it's like outside, because there's too many places where people can see me and I don't want to be seen. I think I've got quite a nice little stealth setup here, so I think what I will do instead is just have a little peek out the window. Well, from what little I can see from this angle, it looks like I'm the only person here. I mean, that's not necessarily a good thing, to be honest, but hopefully there's another car somewhere else, I just can't see them. Now what makes this so good is that actually I can add this to my stealth cooking repertoire, which previously was limited to the kettle and pot noodles, but with this setup it makes it so much better. This has worked really well and I'm really impressed with it. Okay, so I'm starting to feel really hungry now, so let's see how well this is done. Well, it's hot, it's cooked, and it's all done, and in the end it took 20% of the jackery to get there. It must be said though, I do find it super funny that the one night I take the double duvet with me actually is the one night I don't actually need it. So it's definitely quite interesting learning how to use this effectively. So what I've demonstrated is actually to cook all that food from raw only took about 2 hours when it was connected to the mains. And although I turned it off and I didn't plug it back in when I left because I didn't want the broccoli to become all mushy, actually what I wanted to test is would it actually stay warm once it was turned off, because the lunchbox does come with a little insulated bag as well. But I can say that it was stone cold by the time I got back from the walk. So it doesn't keep warm, but it does need to be plugged in to stay warm. Now what I'm doing now is I've plugged it in, I've put the rice inside, and now we're going to see how long it takes to get back up to heat and how much battery life it actually takes to get there. Well, even though I thought it was going to be really cold in here tonight, actually my little thermometer disagrees with me. And actually, I'm rather pleased to say it is very warm in here actually. So my fears about freezing my nublets off were unfounded. Well, I think the car park is going to be quite a noisy one initially, but that's because this car park backs onto the leisure centre car park, and there's a lot of families I can hear getting out of the car and heading off over to the leisure centre. So it'll be interesting to see what it's like as it gets darker. Certainly having the police station down there should make it quieter, you would think. But it definitely is a shame that it was so dark by the time I got here, because I did want to go to a country park that I've never been to before. But to be honest, there would have been no point, because it would have been so dark. You wouldn't have been able to see anything. I wouldn't have been able to see anything. And I probably would have trodden in dog poo. And actually, that's probably one of my biggest fears when I go car camping and I go walking, is that I tread in muck, because then I've got to come back to the car. And yeah, that wouldn't be very nice at all, would it? And this, of course, is the super boring thing about it being so dark at the minute. You can't even see me, and there's nothing for me to show you because you can't see anything. Okay, so I found a spot. It is nice and flat. It's actually in the library car park, and the good thing is it is free between 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. So as long as I'm out the door at 8 o'clock, all is good. Well, sadly, the sign says there is no parking allowed here. Actually, annoyingly, it's because they're going to be doing some roadworks starting tonight at midnight. So I can't park here, which is a shame because it's actually quite a nice little quiet road. And being outside a police station, you would hope it would be even more quieter. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug the cooker back in, put my coat on, put my gloves on, and we'll go for a little walk and check out the car parks down there. And we're here. It's taken us a lot longer to get here than I anticipated. Unfortunately, the traffic at this time of night was a lot worse than normal. But we are at the more interesting of the destinations, and that is actually directly outside the police station, where you can actually park, I believe. I'm going to check a sign over there because it says parking suspension, so bear with me 1 second. But what is actually super funny is that I checked the food before I left, and actually it was completely cooked already, unbelievably. So that's it, that's the car all packed and we are ready to go. So today we are off to Sittingbourne. So interestingly, Sittingbourne is actually somewhere where I've quite fancied car camping for a while. I've been there a few times for work, so I'm aware of the area, but in terms of where we're actually going to park tonight, at this moment I'm not entirely sure. There are quite a few public car parks that do appear to be free overnight, so free between 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. But interestingly, there's another spot which I saw when I went for a walk on my lunch break when I was last there, and I might check there out first to see what it's like. Well, I'll tell you what, the weather at the moment feels absolutely freezing, although I don't think it actually is freezing anymore. But to be on the safe side, I have taken our double duvet as well as the sleeping bag tonight because I don't want to be freezing cold. Well, I was hoping that I would actually get there while there was still a little bit of light left, but unfortunately it is going to be dark by the time I get there, which is a shame. And there you go, that's the experiment all done. So we will see when we get there how well it cooked, and importantly, if it cooked. So what we're going to be using today, we're going to be using my Christmas present, the 12-volt electric lunchbox. I'm going to be experimenting cooking a meal from raw in the lunchbox. So the handy thing with this lunchbox as well is that it came with two different power sources. So you have the 12-volt power supply, and you also have a regular plug power supply. So what I'm going to do now, because of the time of day, I'm going to prepare the food now, put it on the wall charge, and then when we go, I'll transfer it over to the Jackery. Hello everyone, and welcome to my first ever midweek car camp. Now, as you may know from previous car camps, I've been pretty much working from home now for the past 2 years, but every now and again I do need to go into the office or to a conference. Now, one thing I've wanted to do for ages is car camp the night before I have to go into the office. So essentially I'm in the destination where I need to be in the morning. Now the thing is, I've been wary about doing this because if I have a bad night's sleep, I'm going to be absolutely shattered the next day for work. But tonight I'm going to give it a go, and fingers crossed I sleep through the night. Now, something I've been wanting to do on my channel for a very long time is to film a car camp in the style of a film I absolutely love called MEMENTO. There's also another one called Shimmer Lake. Now, what both of these films do, they are filmed in reverse chronology. So you see the end at the start and vice versa. So I've planned this car camp out, and I'm hoping my first attempt at a reverse chronology car camp works. And if it all goes to plan and it all works, you'll be seeing this now. And this will be the very last thing that you see on this video, although it's actually the start and I haven't even gone yet. And if you liked it, and if you made it to what I call the 100% club moment, which is this, let me know in the comments.